Hi, my name is Nancy Glowacki. I am an Army veteran and I currently serve as the Women Veteran Program Manager for the Department of Labor Veterans Employment and Training Service, known as DOL Vets. I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about veteran trends, gender trends, and overlaps of the two in industries and occupations last year. First, how are industry and occupation defined? An industry is a group of establishments that produce similar products or provide similar services. For example, all establishments that manufacture automobiles are in the same industry. A given industry, or even a particular establishment in that industry, might have employees in dozens of occupations. Meanwhile, an occupation is a set of activities or tasks that employees are paid to perform. Employees that perform essentially the same tasks are in the same occupation, regardless of whether or not they work in the same industry. Some occupations are concentrated in a few particular industries, while other occupations are found in many industries. So let's start with industries. Veterans are more likely than non-veterans to work in government, and women are more likely than men to work in government. So it's natural that women veterans, who are found in that overlap of the two populations, are most likely to work in government. Working in government can mean working for the federal government, working for a state government, or working for a local government. Veterans are more likely to work for the federal government than to work for a state or local government. In fact, 16% of women veterans worked for the federal government in 2016. So, of course, veterans are less likely than non-veterans to work for private industries. And women are less likely than men to work in private industries, with women veterans being the least likely of the four populations to work in private industries. Veterans are less likely than non-veterans to work in retail or leisure and hospitality, and women are slightly more likely than men to work in these industries. Now let's look at gender-based trends in industries, starting with 5 industries in which men are more likely than women to work. Women veterans are slightly more likely than women non-veterans to work in the first 2, which are transportation and utilities and construction. In the next 3 industries in which men are more likely than women to work, women veterans are slightly less likely than women non-veterans to work. These industries are manufacturing, self-employment, and professional and business services, where 7.9% of women veterans worked in 2016. Now let's look at 2 industries in which women are more likely than men to work, and in which veterans are slightly more likely than non-veterans to work. These are education and health services and financial activities. Women are over 3 times as likely as men to work in education and health services. In 2016, 22% of women veterans worked in this industry. Now let's look at occupational groups. Starting with occupational groups where women veterans are more likely than male veterans or non-veterans of either gender to work, we see healthcare practitioner and technical occupational groups, business and financial operations occupational groups, community and social service occupational groups, and office and administrative support occupational groups. To give you an idea of more specific occupations included in these occupation groups, a few examples of healthcare practitioner and technical occupations include physicians and surgeons, veterinarians, nurses, and genetic counselors. A few examples of business and financial operations occupations include cost estimators, human resources workers, logisticians, and credit analysts. Community and social service occupations include counselors, social workers, health educators, religious workers, and more. Office and administrative support occupations include financial clerks, tellers, customer service representatives, and computer operators, and a lot more. There are a couple of occupational groups that I think really illustrate how women veterans continue to blaze trails after their military service. These are protective service occupations and computer and mathematical occupations. While women veterans are less likely than male veterans to work in these occupations, women veterans are equally likely as male non-veterans and nearly 3 times as likely as women non-veterans to work in protective service occupations. And women veterans are more likely than women non-veterans to work in computer and mathematical occupations. Protective service occupations include firefighters, law enforcement workers, detectives, transportation security screeners, and more. Overall, only 21% of protective service workers are women. Computer and mathematical occupations include computer and information research scientists, computer programmers, statisticians, mathematical technicians, and more. Only 26% of computer and mathematical workers are women. The next 3 occupational groups are predominantly filled by women, with women veterans being slightly less likely to be found than women non-veterans, but still significantly more likely than male veterans. These are healthcare support occupations, personal care and service occupations, and education, training, and library occupations. The healthcare support occupational group includes home health aides, nursing assistants, orderlies, medical transcriptionists, and more. A few examples of personal care and service occupations are animal trainers, personal appearance workers, skincare specialists, and fitness trainers. Examples of education, training, and library occupations include post-secondary teachers, substitute teachers, library technicians, and teacher assistants. Now let's look at occupational groups where veterans of both genders are less likely to be found than non-veterans of both genders. 3 of these occupational groups are arts, design, entertainment, sports, and media occupations, sales and related occupations, and food preparation and service-related occupations. Women veterans are more likely than male veterans to work in food preparation and service-related occupations. Arts, design, entertainment, sports, and media occupations include art directors, designers, announcers, broadcast technicians, and more. Among sales and related occupations are cashiers, retail salespersons, travel agents, and telemarketers. Included in food preparation and service-related occupations are chefs and head cooks, fast food and counter workers, waiters and waitresses, and dishwashers. Male veterans are more likely than women veterans to work in the next 2 occupational groups, where veterans are less likely than non-veterans to be found. These are production occupations and building and grounds cleaning and maintenance occupations. A few examples of production occupations are bakers, sewing machine operators, woodworkers, and power plant operators. Among building and grounds cleaning and maintenance occupations are janitors and cleaners, maids and housekeeping cleaners, pest control workers, and tree trimmers and pruners. In the next 2 occupational groups, veterans are slightly more likely to work than non-veterans, and men are slightly more likely to work than women. These are management occupations and transportation and material moving occupations. Management occupations include executives, managers, legislators, and education administrators. A few examples of transportation and material moving occupations are aircraft pilots and flight engineers, subway and streetcar operators, ship engineers, and cleaners of vehicles and equipment. Finally, in legal occupations, there are no significant differences by gender or by veteran status. A few examples of legal occupations are lawyers and judicial law clerks, legal support workers, paralegals and legal assistants, and court reporters. I hope you found this glimpse of trends in industries and occupations useful. To explore careers that you may be interested in, please visit veterans.gov for useful tools. Thank you for taking the time to view this webinar. Please feel free to download the PowerPoint slides and to use them as you see fit. And as always, please remember that free employment services are available in your local area. Please view the Employment Assistance for Women Veterans webinar, which is also available at dol.gov/vets/womenveterans.